Call this meeting together, March 22nd at 5:03. With the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we give those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Should swallow all my pizza before I start. Any disclosures of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, we shall turn over to Charlene and work our way through everything from there. You know what we should do is we should just have them put everything in a case like this where we're going to have them.
Okay, Marcia, you're on board for the 2017 draft budget, tax-supported capital budget. Do you want me to read the recommendation first? So the recommendation is that Corporate Services Committee review the 2017 draft tax-supported capital budget. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Mackay, seconded by Councillor Regier. And we'll have our discussion.
Okay. Welcome to the 2017 proposed capital budget. So on staff tonight we have Randy Buchwald for the Roads Department, Steve Hodson for the Environmental Services, myself, and Rob. Wayne is away, but if there's anything for fire, if you have any questions, we'll make sure that we come back next week. So tonight is just for the capital budget part of it. The operations will come next week. So in front of everybody, I did prepare the little booklet here for you to follow. I did try and email it, but I think the file's too big, it came back. So what we'll do is we'll go through each department, and if you guys have any questions, just feel free to ask it as we're going along. It just saves from forgetting any questions at the end. Okay? So, I should also mention too, as well as I've given you just kind of a summary of the capital projects in front of you, and then we'll discuss it as we go through them. Okay, so for the administration part of the capital side of things, we're looking at a total administration capital budget of $111,798.22. Some of these have already been passed by resolutions through council. So what we're looking at is an iCompass, which is a meeting and records management solutions for local governments, and the cost is a little over $17,000. That one was passed already by resolution. And the website is a redesign, and the cost is a little over $18,000. And I believe that one was done by resolution. I may have missed that one. Okay. Okay.
That's okay. And just if you notice a slight change, these are the amounts with HST included.
Yeah. So we're looking at a new server for our computer system here, and we are going to need the new server because also you'll see on the budget is I'm asking for a new iCity RIM upgrade, and that is our municipal software upgrade. So our new server cost is about $6,500 just for the server itself. The maintenance and the or somebody come up to install the server, that will be on the operations side of the budget, but this is just for the capital side of it. Rob, maybe can just touch a little bit on this one. Looking for a fireproof filing cabinet, an estimated value of $5,000.
So council approved that we do a records management audit, which happened earlier this week, and main staff were also trained. what we've discovered is that none of our kind of filing in this building is fireproof. And there's some documents that we'll be able to send to the Westmeath garage. The leaseholder will allow us to use the old vault there, but things that we need on hand for continuity of business, we will need here. And that filing cabinet, which is fire waterproof, will allow us to store those things that in the event of a fire, of anything of that nature, even the backup of our server. So our room downstairs is not a vault. You know the history of this building. So this is a small, in the grand scheme of things, a small amount to make sure that we have some fire protection in the event to protect our corporate records for business continuity.
Okay, and then we're looking at having our scanning of our bylaws and council meetings as well as some of the maps. This will ensure transparency. That cost us about $15,000. For the maps, Doug does have some maps that we only have actually one on hand here, so we do want to get them scanned. So that's coming in about $15,000. The iCity RIM upgrade, that is our municipal software upgrade, and that's a little over $27,000. And then the office renovations and furniture, and that's the reconfiguration to accommodate new manager and supporting office furniture, and that cost us about $15,000. Did you want to touch a little bit on that one?
Sure. So with the manager of community services and the new manager of physical services, we're kind of short one office. Originally, before the changes, we thought it would be appropriate to send the manager to the Mindview garage, but we have some space limitations there. We did look at options of adding space at Mindview. The total that would cost is about $300,000, which we thought wasn't really supportable. And now with the new kind of lineup, with Randy stepping up as the road supervisor, we think we're fine from a staffing over there. But the new manager of physical services will have a broad portfolio, and it makes sense to have that person here. So in my office. So what that would mean is that we have what I would call some space that could be utilized better. One is kind of where the stained glass window would be, to create a boardroom there. It's really just a wall. And as well, where the photocopier is, moving the photocopier on the other side to have a small conference room. So when we have a taxpayer that's here with, for instance, a question on their tax bill, Marcia can go into a small boardroom and meet with them, and not our offices are working offices. If you've been in them, there's some papers. So we're just better utilization of the space we have, and having all of the team, most of the kind of the office team, all in one area. So half of that is for some adequate office furniture, and the rest would be to put up essentially one wall there and two walls and a ceiling there. And so the goal is to have everybody here, just so that we're one working team.
Would you actually need the ceiling, or could you not just put up the privacy walls, sort of thing? Because the other thing you have to consider is ventilation and heat and all of that. So I would suggest just the two walls and not the ceiling.
The issue is sound and privacy, because the acoustics, because it's so open. So when we would quote it out, we would kind of, it wouldn't be like a full-blown ceiling. It would just be so that there's some acoustic protection, because it is very open, and we work with our doors open, and it's an open office. But it's something that we would look at as we would pursue the project.
The only other comment I would make is accessibility. You have to be careful about that. With regards to the staircase, and that person would actually have to come into the office, rather than maybe even perhaps utilizing this conference space that you're talking about over here to go sit down and talk. And I know there's still a set of stairs there. But
The elevator.
There is the elevator, but anyways, I just don't know that it needs a roof. That's
likely where I'm
CAA is
going to have to go. Yeah, not that I do want to move, but it just makes sense in terms of we're just trying to find workable office space. The other thing about that space is that we could use it for summer students. We don't really have lots of room. We're going to have them working probably in here. So that's why we're looking at that space at the stairs there for office space. But it's something that within that budget, we would work within that budget. And I think the prime goal is getting all the managers here, and two, having that boardroom so that Hal has a spot, and then we would also be able to use that for meetings, and within that budget.
Mayor Johnson.
We were also looking at a place for the staff to have a table, if I'm still correct, removing the sofa.
Yep,
And it's
so there's tons of room there, so there's a sofa
Yeah.
that staff currently use for lunch that there's lots of room there, so we'd move the couch over, and then the conference table would go down, so we can use it as a proper boardroom.
so much wasted space.
Okay. Did you have any questions, Councillor sorry, I didn't see you. Do you want to put your mic on?
I'm sorry. I was just thinking, sitting here, and I don't know if anybody else sat around this table, but I was here when we first renovated this, and we thought, oh my gosh, we have so much room, tons of room. Well, obviously not at this point. So it was just a thought that came through.
It's amazing how you can get filled pretty quick. I know the same thing happens in other municipalities. Their offices get filled, and all of a sudden you run out of space. Councillor Mackay.
Yeah, this seems like not very much money, $15,000 for renovations and furniture.
But it's not, it's just going to be just simple walls. There's no windows, there's nothing. And the furniture, yeah.
Interior
Oh, yeah.
walls.
All right.
Yeah.
Just seems low.
Yeah, we did 2 little interior walls with no roof because of the ventilation. It had to come down about 2 feet from the roof. And it was about $4,000.
Oh, okay.
It was just wall. Just the walls go up as
Yeah.
high as you
Yeah.
want them to be.
Yeah.
But make sure that you have the ventilation and because your heat, your air return, all of that, you need to be concerned about that, and I'm sure your building inspector will tell you that too.
Yes.
And then so that would cut the cost down a little bit, and then of course you're looking at office furniture, moving that conference table downstairs, a little desk here, which would be just enough to spread some papers out on, and a desk for Robert in there. So, yeah, 15,000 is going to be more than enough, I think. But yeah, it should work.
Okay, so the next one is the building department. Shirley.
Sorry, Councillor McLaughlin.
I'll direct my question to Marcia. I know that we spoke, we were talking about scanning some of the old documents.
Yeah, we
Is that
just
in?
hit that. Yeah, that was the Image Advantage, the scanning of bylaws and council minutes at 15,000. You look on the top, yeah.
So, okay, I wasn't understanding because I remember that gentleman
Yes.
that came, and we're going to do some of that?
Yes, we are.
Okay,
Well,
that
if it's
just
passed,
answers my
yeah.
question.
So Doug is looking for a tablet and iCity reporter, and what this will allow Doug to do is to be able to do inspections right on site and actually fill in the paperwork. And then that will get emailed to the contract and the owner, and then as soon as he comes in here, it'll automatically download onto VATM. So this will help him from manually inputting after each visit. So this will save him time, and this costs about $2,575. So the next big group is the fire department. What their requests are pretty standard from year to year. They're looking at BAs for Foresters Falls Fire Station at a cost of $40,000. They need to replace 10 bunker gear suits. They're good for 10 years, and that cost is about $20,000. They're looking at some respirators. They're looking at extrication equipment, and they're looking at basically, let's see here. So this will house Beechburg, Hobson, and Haley's Fire Station. They're looking at purchasing 3 lights for a cost of $9,000, and that will help them when they go in at nighttime to fires. and illuminate the area for them much, much better. And those are about $3,000 each for those lights.
The only comment I have about all of this equipment is that I would hope that the study and the master plan gets done first. It's fine to approve it if it makes sense after that study is complete. And I don't know how long that study is going to take and when those decisions are going to be made, whether or not these items actually will get purchased in 2017 we're in now, or we should put them off to 2018. I don't know.
What I would suggest, though, is the first three especially, if in terms of keeping our firefighters safe now, those would probably proceed as needed. The extrication equipment pretty much is the only one that we would probably hold off on. We did have some conversation about other things such as vehicles and the addition in Beachburg, although that was previously funded and is in reserve. What I suggested to the leadership and fires that we would hold off and see where the fire master plan comes out and the recommendations that we would have. It'll take about 5 months to get through the fire master plan. So at the same time, we want to keep our firefighters safe. So some of those three original items, I think, will probably proceed, but the extrication equipment will probably take a pause on that and wait for the fire master plan.
Councillor McLaughlin?
Thank you. I've done a tour of 4 out of 5 halls, and when I was in Forsters Falls, that's been one of the main questions I've been asking about is the BAs. I think they're well outdated. So Robert's absolutely right, because if there is for some reason to use them and they fail, then who's in trouble? Plus, it's safety. So, and as far as the bunker gear goes, I think we need to replace 10 of those each year, because we have some place between, no matter whether we change our master plan, it's still a composite of about 70 to 90 firefighters. So, I mean, if we don't keep rotating the gear, maybe I'm wrong, Marcia, am I?
No, we have 75.
So
you're in the ballpark.
75, but that's not full composite. Like, I think to have completely everybody at full.
We have 75 on the roster right now.
Yes, yeah, but I don't think it's filled.
Last it was.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, I could be wrong. I'm wrong quite often, so I will say maybe I'm wrong, but still, they're only 10 years. So if you don't replace them on a continuous basis, then we end up all of a sudden we need 40 of them, and this is a whole lot better idea to my thinking. As far as the respiration, I think that's needed as well. Extrication, I quite well agree. I think we can probably hold off because I know we got new extrication in Haley Station. So that would be these cutters would be, I think, a double
Additional.
duplication. So I think maybe Robert's right, but those first 3 items I think we need to move ahead with.
And just if I can add on the extrication, the stabilizers are just one piece of the equipment and they support the rest, like the spreaders and the rams. I learned this when I was in Meaford. But I think the lights are pretty critical, so I think the lights are critical, but we would like the extrication equipment to stay in the budget. But as we said, that we would hold off on purchasing it until we get the fire master plan.
Okay, so the next one is the infrared camera that they're looking at purchasing at a cost of $15,000. And then the Westmeath fire truck. So this is the final payment for the unfinanced portion of the truck at $87,869.78. So the truck was purchased in 2014. And then the fire master plan that we were just talking about, and that will review of current and long-term fire department needs in terms of fire hall equipment, vehicles, and deployment and staffing. And that cost is approximately $30,000. And then we're also looking at doing a fire hall condition assessment on the 5 stations, and this will determine the building capital requirements over the next 10 to 20 years at a cost of $20,000.
So that would look at as we look at the fire master plan and make decisions, if we keep the 5 stations, we need to know the amount of investments that will be needed in for the medium and long term. And for those buildings that are used by the public, Foresters Falls comes to mind, we will also be doing the accessibility review to ensure that if there's lips, which I'm told there are, we'll get that information. So it's condition assessment, but then like in terms of structural, but also accessibility where required.
Okay, so we're going to be touching now the physical services. So if you have any questions, you can direct them at us or at
Councillor
Randy.
McLaughlin.
How old is we already have one in for one camera, do we not?
I'll have to double check with that with Wayne. I'm not sure.
Are we there yet?
No, he's talking about the infrared camera.
Oh, the infrared camera.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought he said tandem.
I'm sorry, I guess maybe I wasn't clear on what I was talking about, but the infrared camera, and yes, we purchased that. I think Councillor Rager was chair at that time, if she can recall when we purchased it, but it is a number of years ago. Maybe 5 years ago? So what is the life expectancy of them? Does anybody know?
No, I don't have it, but we can get that for you for sure by next week.
Okay.
So are we looking at holding off then on the extrication and the infrared camera until after?
Yes.
So we'll budget for them perhaps, and they were coming out of taxes or out of reserves?
Well,
or?
we haven't discussed all that yet, but we will next week.
Okay. Okay.
So then we're going to touch on the physical services now, and like I said, you can ask us or Randy's there with his mic. Hopefully we can clarify anything that you have. So one of the roads that we're going to be touching on is the Industrial Park Road, and it's 0.81 kilometers. And that is, the township crew will be doing that work, and this is to lengthen the road because there is some lots down there that we're interested in selling. So there'll be ditching, gravel, double surface treatment, and that costs us about $50,000.
Are we going to double surface treatment this year, or are you going to let it sit for a while? Sit for a year and then double surface?
We were going to do it this year. If we have the packer to pack it, we're only putting on about 5 inches of granular A, which should be easily compacted with a packer.
Is the road already there, Randy, or?
Yeah, the road's already there. It just needs to be brushed and maybe a little gravel added to the part that's a head in.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
The road's already there.
Okay. I was thinking that it wasn't there at all.
No,
So-
it's there.
Okay, that's good to know. Councillor McLaughlin.
Why are we double surface treating that road?
It is already double surface treated.
But what's the traffic count on it?
So why we decided to do the entire road is we need to do the extension to be able to sell those remaining lots. You'll recall that when we had an offer on one of the existing parcels, we agreed to go and survey the rest of them so they could be sold. They're on either side, so either as 6 individual lots, up to 6, but even 2. So if we're going to go in and do that work, the rest of the road is bad. There are some drainage issues, some washouts. I drove by there on my way to my new house in Westmeath yesterday and noticed that we were actually doing some patching, but it still wasn't a lot. So from an economic development standpoint, I think it's important if we're trying to sell those lots that road be in good condition. In terms of traffic, it's not a thoroughfare. It wouldn't be even an arterial, but it is important in terms of trying to sell those lots.
I would have to agree with Councillor McLaughlin. I don't know that it has to be double surface treated at this time, because my concern is, yes, we sell them, and then we get some heavy equipment down that road to develop those lots, and it's just going to all fall apart and be for nothing. So I'm in favor of maybe bringing that road up to a little bit better of a standard, but gravel it for now until such time as those properties are developed. And yes, it might be double surface treated now, but it's probably, I don't know what it would be. Maybe Mayor Johnson can talk about that.
What I was just going to say is, we have an agreement with Laurentian Valley on that road, and I don't remember the exact wording of the agreement, but I know they do the maintenance. We switched roads back a few years ago, and they do the maintenance on that road and on Cemetery, both.
Yes, they plow Cemetery Road and the Industrial Park Road.
That's correct, yeah. So, I'm not sure of how we handled the rebuild part of the agreement. We would have to, maybe we should look into that.
Yep. So what we'll do is we'll focus on the new part and getting it usable, and then keep it in the queue for possibly 2018 or as those lots develop. And at the same time, before next week, we'll look into the maintenance issues with Laurentian Valley.
Councillor McLaughlin?
Well, refresh my memory, but I thought if you did double surface streets on roads, there had to be some traffic count on it, or it didn't work. Am I wrong? Because I remember years and years ago when we talked about Harris Crescent, which was double surface treated, and it didn't last at all. And the reason